Hello there, we are geeks assembled and we have gathered here today and we're talking about the first Superman movie, which I think, is this your favourite, Brian? Is this your favourite Superman movie?
Yes, and it's my favorite Superman.
So I'll go to you first, Brian, for
Is
opening
my
thoughts. You first, Brian, for opening thoughts.
Oh, that's just not fair. You went to me first.
Yep, I definitely did indeed.
Okay, well, let's see. Superman.
Oh, thank you for that, Brian. And now let's move to Craig.
Hey!
I'm joking. Go on.
You know what?
Go and behave yourself. Go on, give your opening thoughts.
Anyway, what I thought of Superman the movie, I loved it. I honestly love this film. I love Superman. I like all the Christopher Reeve movies of Superman. Although all the ones that are good, which is the first two mostly. 3 and 4 were the worst. I'm sorry, they just are. But Superman the movie, I just absolutely love and enjoy this film. It's just the best. And without a doubt, Christopher Reeve is Superman. To me, he is just the one and only and the best Superman that I know and love. He's just amazing. He's my Superman. What can I say? The movie itself is just amazing. I love it.
Yeah, I get the feeling that you really enjoyed this film then, Brian. And yes, I can definitely confirm Christopher Reeve was definitely Superman. I can definitely confirm that right here, right now. He was Superman. And let's move on to Alex and Susan. Over the pond. What are your guys' opening thoughts?
All right. Well, Christopher Reeve is really amazing as Superman and as Clark Kent, and he's a good actor and he pulls it off, and he's really it's a fun movie. It's got question I have is why they started with what they would do in the second movie. They started with all that and they didn't get into it for a long time, into the story, because of a really long origin story, and a setup for the second movie was kind of a little clunky. But
I can answer that. This movie was intended to be like 3 to 4 hours long. They intended to have both movies all being with one movie, like Superman 1 and 2 were intended to be one film.
Okay. Well, whatever that they wanted to, it was a little clunky in my humble opinion. And I just want to give a shout out to the Christopher Reeve Foundation for paralysis. It's a thing, and you can support it and stuff like that. Here you go, Alex.
Yeah, it's a great movie. For all the criticism, but that's fine. Almost any movie can be criticized, but it's charming. It's not too slow. It's not too fast. They did it, Christopher Reeve had a lot of charm. And from what I understand, he was also training under David Prowse. He's also in his 70s and is sick now. But apparently David taught Chris how to bodybuild, so he looked good in the suit. And apparently he was also roommates with Robin Williams, who's also departed now. But yeah, I mean, it's great music. It's a great movie. There's many different versions because it's the 70s and the 80s. They had a film version, TV version, international version. So, but for both of the movies that were filmed at the same time, Superman 1 and 2, they had budgets of well over 50 million, and they brought back 300 plus. And that's within the first 10 years, never mind what they do now. So it's probably even more. But it's a great movie. It's very charming, not too fast, not too slow. And yes, it is better than the other versions that have come afterwards.
Now, think of him as the Loch Ness monster of the group. Not that he looks like the Loch Ness monster, but because he's only sighted several times. Yes, and he hangs round a lot of lakes, I hear. Let's go to Craig. Did you think I was going to say you, Lee? You're on all the time, sadly.
I didn't know Hull had a Nessie.
Oh, it's got a few. It's got a few other things.
Yeah, it's a great movie, and I've got the ultimate box set with the is it the Richard Donner cut where they?
Yeah, it's the Richard Donner's cut. It's mostly the director's cut of Superman 2.
That's the one that I like. Yeah, but you can tell that, you know, when too many cooks spoil the broth, you can sense that has happened, which is a shame. But I like the music because I know the music represented hope, and that's why they won't go back to the original music in the new Supermans, because the concept's different, but which is a shame. But I like the mystery of Superman as well in these early ones, where I know it's a bit cliche, where, you know, he just takes off his glasses and then he, you know, you can tell it's Superman, but there's the whole build up where no one knows. He's almost schizophrenic because he wants to be two different people.
Can you relate to that, Craig?
Yeah, I think we all can in some way.
You noticed it. I was wondering if there was, you know, something we should know about, because you know, I'm keeping away from you. Carry on.
But
Lee, you got to watch how you send your Christmas cards.
I'm at the doorstep, Lee. No, you reckon? But I've lost track of what I was talking about now. So anyway, I'll come back to me later.
Yeah, I'll come back to you. Don't worry. Anyway, let's go over to Hull. Yes, it's our very own, well, I would say Superman, but think of Superman more of his retirement years. Yes, around about 90, let's say. Let's go to Lee Wilson in Hull.
Right. Hull.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed this movie. I prefer the second part to this movie. As you say, it's a build-up of the origin of Superman. Susan was asking why they did all the beginning bit, because as it's been mentioned, Alex mentioned it, that Superman 1 and Superman 2 were filmed together. They were filmed at the same time. 75% of Superman 2 was filmed, but then Richard Donner fell out with the film company and he went by the wayside, so someone else took over Superman 2. So there was loads of things thrown out, loads of things kept. This is why, Marlon Brando, he sued the film company. He got paid $3.7 million just to do 2 days' work to play Superman's father. But after the success of the movie, he sued the company because he thought he was losing out on all the franchise stuff. He sued them for $50 million.
Because of he wasn't in. Was he in?
He wasn't. Well, this is it. This is why they couldn't use all the film footage of Marlon Brando in Superman 2 because of the court case.
Oh.
So this is why they got Susanna York to do the bits with in the Fortress of Solitude. So, but it was all made well again when Richard Donner's director's cut of the DVD came back and they put everything back to normal. But yeah, I enjoyed this. I'd say Christopher Reeve for me is Superman. He just embodies that character. As you say, yeah, it's a comic book thing. Yeah, the glasses, the ripping of the shirt and flying up in the air. stuff like that. The only thing what niggled me, and we've talked about this on many casts before. We call it the reset button. Yeah, look, Alex going off, but yeah,
Please
at the
don't
end,
get me started on the reset button.
and that's how they solved the
another
problem.
cast as well.
Yeah, this is how they solved the problem in this movie. You know, to turn back time.
You
Yeah,
mean like when, it turns back the clock with the Earth and everything.
yeah. It's also Gene Hackman as Lex Luthor. Brilliant villain, comedy villain with Ned Beatty. But Lex Luthor, everybody knows Lex Luthor is bald, and Gene Hackman refused to shave his hair off for the part. I know. So what did they do? They made him wear wigs, but it wasn't wigs. It was his real hair, which you can tell it is his real hair. But a little niggle there. But yeah, all in all, I enjoyed this. But Superman 2 is better than this for me. But the effects are still good today. The flying, you can't see the strings, can you? But,
No.
But you can't. But he was on a little trolley thing up in the air. But
Which Superman 2, the theatrical version or the director's cut?
it doesn't really matter, does it? It's still the same film. And there is parts of it where the model work, you can tell it's model work. The scenery, like the dam and the things like that. But the sets for Krypton are just amazing, and the costumes, all the white glaring costume, just brilliant. Yeah, I enjoyed this movie. I watch it when I can. I pop it in, but I usually pop Superman 2 in more than I do this one. So over to you, Alid.
Yes, we know you pop it in whenever you can. We know. Let's go back to Craig to finish off his lovely review, which he was talking about. Your opening thoughts, Craig? Can you remember now?
You know the opening scene when the baby's wrapped in that Superman blanket that's really shiny and blue?
Mm.
Well, if they did like a bedspread of that, I would probably have that.
They probably do. Do they? They
I'd
do.
probably have it as a throw over.
Wait, you mean the red, blue, and yellow blanket that he was?
Yeah.
You got Superman stuff, haven't you, Brian?
Yeah, I have a Superman special pillow here.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, there was a.
It's my special
Doctor
pillow.
Who. Yeah, that's Superman. Lava lamp.
There's also Reign of Superman in the comics, where he fights with Green Lantern.
Craig, have you got colourful stool?
Have I got a what?
Colourful stool.
What's that?
Poop.
What?
I know it
Let's
sounds like
not
a
talk
strange
about
question.
Greg's food.
Oh.
Okay.
Just,
What are you
Let's
talking
not
about?
talk about Greg's
What's up?
just go away.
What's up?
Thanks, Alan. No, I don't need to see it.
Unfortunately,
Susan doesn't want to
I
sit.
guess
Just
we
right,
like
Susan.
editing, I guess.
Oh my God, why?
Which version is this one now?
I'd go to the doctors about that. Why the hell are they putting it on your bed? I don't know.
Oh, dear.
It's on your headboard. Anyway, have you finished your opening thoughts then, Craig?
Yeah, I prefer Superman 2.
You prefer Superman 2. Does everybody prefer Superman 2? Has everybody seen it?
I mean,
I prefer Superman 1.
yeah, but
Which
she likes
version?
Superman one.
Theatrical or director's cut?
Yeah.
But my favourite scene is when he grabs the helicopter in Superman 1. That gives me goosebumps.
Well,
But that's an iconic scene.
yeah. I mean,
Well,
again, that's the other question too. I mean, in Superman 1, it's pretty, Boy Scout almost. And then in Superman 2, 3, and 4, he's not a Boy Scout anymore because a lot of people think that the scene, the sequence of Superman 2 when he's beaten up in the diner and then he has to come back and be the buff Clark Kent, to beat up that driver. I mean, yeah, it's not exactly heroic what he does, but I mean, it's it's understandable that you don't want to just be beat up and in front of your fiance and then just say, well, I'll just let it happen. And it's not very American to take beatings and not to, I mean, most movies are kind of macho, especially before. Yeah, that's true. But I mean, again, I've heard that before, that a lot, almost no movie's perfect. I mean, but again, is it flaws? Is it they forgot? Is it they left the wrong scene in? I mean, again, this is the era where you have, TV version, international version, original version, extended. So I actually shared another scene in the group where I guess they were going to, what was it? Lex Luthor and Otis was going to feed Miss Tessmacher to the lions. And at the last minute, Superman comes down, grabs her, and says, oh, by the way, your mother in New Jersey sends her love. And that's where one of the missiles were going. They don't show that in every movie version.
That was a good scene.
Yeah.
Well, I know Brian and Lee are big Superman fans, but are you a big Superman fan then, Craig? Here?
Yeah, I like Superman. Yeah, I like Superman. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know you were that big into superheroes and that.
So just as a brief aside, do you guys like the newer versions? Unfortunately, Christopher Reeve is no longer with us after his injury and his death.
Are you on about the
but
Batman
the newer versions? Yeah, the new versions.
Talking about Henry Cavill.
Yeah. Right, and the other guy, Brandon Ruth.
Returns and that.
Yeah, that one, yeah. With Kevin Spacey as Lex Luthor.
I thought it was Brandon Ralph.
No, that was 2006. Go ahead, Lee.
Yeah.
I thought his last name was Ralph.
Does it matter? Anyway, who said I was a big Superman fan?
I thought you were.
Howard said.
No.
Oh, Catwoman.
Yeah.
Catwoman, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a big Superman fan at all.
Oh, you prefer Batman?
I'm a big yeah. Yes.
Yeah, making a statement. That's why you were going like that with Batman. Yeah. We're gonna get complaints now.
How come you like
a Batman shirt for equal rights?
I'm a fan of I'm a fan of the Bats.
How come you're not?
You are a bit batty, so it makes sense, doesn't it?
You don't like Superman, Lee?
What do you say, Brian?
I said, how come you don't like Superman?
Because I don't.
Oh, you don't like Superman?
Because it's one of the he's got every power you can think of. He's sort of indestructible. It becomes boring after a while. There's no threat. Batman's human.
Yeah, but he's still got all these superpowers, isn't he?
Batman does not have superpowers.
Yeah, Batman doesn't have superpowers. Where have you been?
He has toys. He's like James Bond.
He creates his superpowers, like the Batmobile.
Oh, wait, those aren't superpowers. Those are gadgets and gizmos that he uses.
Yeah, which
he's a James Bond type dude.
Yeah, he's not a superhero. He's not a superhero.
The wrath of the Batman people.
Anyway, yes, let's go back to Superman. What did you think of it, Alid?
I thought it was very sleep-inducing.
Really?
What the hell?
I found it such a bore. It was so slow to begin with. It really
like
was.
Downton Abbey.
Oh my fuck.
Yeah, it was a bit Downton Abbey slow.
Are you fucking?
It was like a snail in reverse.
Brian language.
I'm sorry, but I'm sorry, Lee. It's just that. Why?
Everybody has a difference of opinion, Brian. You know.
The problem is, I'm not keen on superhero films. Superhero films don't really do it for me. But I did try to like it. I really did. I thought, you know what, I'm going to sit down. I'm going to watch this, and I'm gonna go in with it with an open mind because I've never seen it in full before. But what did strike me was that the parents on Krypton. Where were the social services? Social services needed to be called. I mean, putting a baby in a cradle of glass. Glass. I mean, the the child was crawling round. You could see in the shots where the parents, it was focusing on the parents, and in the background you could see the child grabbing the shards of glass. And you're thinking, what parenting is that?
But
Sorry,
that
set me off that thing.
I love
It
that
was so
bit.
slow on the farm.
Oh.
God. Oh, Jesus, I thought we were never going to get off the farm. I thought
Does
I
he-
need to get to
Well,
the farm. by
does his
watching
father
what-
have a heart attack in part 1 or part 2? I can't remember.
Yeah, part 1.
It's the first movie.
That scene always touches me. Like it's always I think it's typical DC superhero where they're gonna lose that if they haven't been made an orphan from the alien parents, they're gonna lose their human parents, either through being shot or a heart attack.
But I have to say that it did look good. The Krypton stuff on Krypton, that and everything, it did, and the costumes were good. I did think it looked visually good, and the flying looks good and stuff like that. So there's nothing visually wrong with it. Let's say nothing visually wrong. I just don't like superhero stuff. And the problem is Superman is as superhero as you can get, isn't it?
This is what I'm saying. Yeah, this is what I'm saying. He is on the top one because he's got everything. He can do anything.
Yeah.
Well, of course, did you guys read in the screen test they were thinking of Nick Nolte as Superman and Stockard Channing as Lois
I thought you were going to say Nick Knowles. I thought no. SOS, DIY SOS.
Which it would have been a very different movie.
It was good to watch this movie to see all the cameos of British stars in this movie all the way through it.
Right.
You Terence Stamp, you had Trevor Howard, you had Harry Andrews, even the American actor Glenn Ford who played his father in that. I mean, it was only in it for a small amount of time.
I love the Chief as well.
They were just cameos.
Yeah.
And I love the music. The opening theme is phenomenal.
Still
I love
great. The soundtrack is still popular to this day.
Yeah, it's because it's John Williams.
And it's also John Williams, who's also the Star Wars guy and the Lost in Space guy.
Yeah, but
now
Indiana Jones.
Now, Alid mentioned. Go on, Alid. Say about what you said to me about the themes. Yes.
He's just using the same score. I mean, basically, it's really unfair, especially for, and I'm going to go on a bit of a rant here, especially for us YouTube people who create content, because if we use one of those songs, we're going to get copyright striked 3 times.
Yeah.
It's not right.
The only one that you won't get copyright struck is Star Wars, because somehow Lucas allows you to use Star Wars for everything. The thing is with John Williams is it isn't the same score. It's just that, when you're a talented composer, you've got a certain style that it becomes your own.
Yeah, and if it works, if it's fixed,
why change it?
Yeah, if it's not broken, yeah, exactly.
I mean, but here's the other thing: it's not illegal to copy yourself.
Well pointed out, Alex.
Yeah.
Yes. I think I might go do that tomorrow.
Yeah.
Copy yourself, please.
Yeah, I will copy myself. Yes.
Are you going to allow on the photocopier? It works.
So
only after a few drinks.
Yeah, jumping back for the cameos. Rex Reed is the movie reviewer is also in some versions, depending which one you see.
So that's my toe, by the way.
Yeah, he's only in it for like maybe 30 seconds or something like that. So.
And also, the original Lois Lane and the original Superman is in it for a cameo.
Yeah, they're the parents that are talking to the little girl that turns out to be Lois Lane. Of course, some people say that's a huge flaw too, because then there should have been a noticeable age difference between Reeve and Kidder, who played Lois Lane. But it's just a movie.
Comic book. It's comic book. It's fantasy.
So do we have any favourite moments? Anybody have any particular moment they enjoyed? Anybody want to jump in? Craig, you've been quiet for a while.
When he rips his shirt off and the phone booth bit. When he turns into Superman, I like those bits. And when he gets the green crystal, that green crystal, and then the music comes on, and he gets his power from that little green crystal. Love all that.
Yeah. Lee,
Minimal.
what's your favourite? Oh, you still
some of my favourite moments is when he first goes to Metropolis as Superman, and he's making a name for himself, and he's catching these thieves and stuff like that. There's the boat where he just lifts the boat and he dumps it in the road, in the street, and the guy climbing up the side of the building trying to do a robbery, and there he is.
And he's
he's stood on the glass window looking down at him. It's just things like that. It's just comedy elements, yeah.
And he rescues the kitten. What can someone explain this to me? Every time I watch that scene where he rescues the cat and then the girl goes in and she gets slapped by the mother, how come on my copies that I've got, the screen, the colour, there's a colour difference on the screen?
I'm sure Lee knows this as well. They had to restore a lot of film because it had aged.
Oh.
So that's why the new
really?
are so. Yeah, because remember, this is the 70s, so you figure...
It's 1978.
Right, so you figure that they didn't always have digital back then, and then they had to restore Close Encounters and ad scenes. They had to restore Star Wars, the original 77 movie. They had to restore the Superman version because some of them were from TV versions in 1982 and 1984 and things like that. So... yeah, so just like the version that Susan and I watched was on DVD, but they added a few extra scenes, and you can tell that it was visually restored. Sound was okay, but
well, it's going to be going to be a 3-hour version now, isn't there?
No, this was what was it? It was 2 hours 32 minutes roughly.
Yeah, something like that.
So
put it on to Susan for her favorite moments, Alex. First, thanks.
The thing that really is cool is the outer space stuff. The planet Krypton and his travel to Earth, and that
was well done. Yeah,
and I liked the creation of the Fortress of Solitude. That was really brilliant, in my humble opinion. And then the other thing that I really liked was I liked the almost throw to the 5 Doctors with the Zod and those guys getting caught in a
that's what it reminded me of. Yeah,
I mean, it was like a triangle, only it was a rectangle. But oh my gosh,
I knew it reminded me of something.
The fact that that was called the Phantom Zone.
Yeah, but the Phantom Zone is the Death Zone in
the Death Zone. Yeah, in Doctor Who. Yeah, so who nicked it off?
Yeah. So anyway, there was a big link up there, so I was pretty into that link up. Anyway, that was my favorite bits. Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of favorite bits here. If you're willing to suspend your disbelief and you don't have to have everything incredibly modernized. I mean, the scenes of Krypton, the little child lands, and the what's his name, John and Martha are looking at the camera, looking over there where the little what is the little ship or whatever landed. The fact that they show the they show the baby almost naked, but then saves what's his name, Jonathan's life. You have the scenes of when Superman goes out on the town and catches all these criminals and all that, and then the cops are like, "Oh, I can't believe it," and all the funny, dry wit. And in the version that we saw, he actually says to Marlon Brando in the Fortress of Solitude, "I'm sorry, I got carried away." I said, "Oh, there's an added scene. I don't remember seeing that in the theatrical version."
And let's move on to Brian for favorite moments. Brian, any favorite moments?
Oh, me?
Any that stand out? Yep. Is there anybody else called Brian in here by any chance? Nope. Brian, go ahead. Brian with a Y. With a Y.
Yes, it's with a Y.
Like Brian, why? Why? Will we ever get that answer?
Oh, shut up.
Go on, I've already messed in. What's your favourite moments?
My favorite, I think my favorite moment would probably be I think it would probably be like when you first see. Well, one of them would probably have to be like when you first see Clark in his high school years. Just just a matter of fact, because it's just a matter of fact because it's Christopher Reeve dubbing the whole thing. It's not the actor that played young Clark. It's not actually him talking. Christopher Reeve dubbed it. Christopher Reeve dubbed the whole thing.
It's very well done.
And I just a matter of fact that I think it's so a bit funny, and I think that's why it's one of my most favorite scenes. And then after that, he runs to go to the farm to beat all the football players and cheerleaders to go back to his house. I think that was cool. What?
Lee's dying to say something. What do you want to say?
I know. Yeah. What?
Dying to jump in. He's like,
go ahead, Lee. What you got?
Watch out where you're putting that finger, Lee. It's very dangerous.
Well, I think I think I've bought this DVD from the same place Brian bought his down.
What?
It says there 2-disc edition, right?
Say it again. You froze.
But disc 1 there, I said, I think I got this DVD.
Yeah.
From the same place as Brian got his Dalek DVD from, because he brought some up yesterday, but we'll talk about that later. It says 2-disc edition. Look, disc 1, disc 3.
Somebody can't count.
They've got a printing error, huh?
Could be worth a bit of money.
Do you know what?
Right, pirate.
Good, actually.
Piracy will get you everywhere.
I'd hold on to that.
Anyway,
I'm going to hold on to it. Anyway, yes, you disrupted Brian. How very dare you, Lee? How very dare you?
I think my
extremely important, because he always does.
Goes to the Fortress of Solitude and meets a holographic Jor-El for the first time, and it passes many years, and then he actually gets within the suit, and he's Superman. He flies off. And finally, I think my last favorite moment is when he actually saves the day as Superman. Like that whole helicopter scene and everything. He goes after all the thugs and that guy.
Brian, I'm ever so sorry. I didn't listen to a word of that. Can you please repeat it?
I heard it.
I'm really joking.
Are you messing with me?
I'm messing with it.
No, we're fine. We heard it.
Yeah, we heard it.
No, we heard it. Don't worry.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah,
You don't like my comments. You don't like any of my comments. I'm done.
I totally agree. The that was definitely the best bit. No, I totally agree.
You guys don't like any of my comments. I'm done. Won't you just talk now?
Oh, don't go yet. You've got to score it, remember?
Yeah, we need to score at the end. Is there anything you would have improved about the film? Anybody would you say it could have done with being shorter? Let's say.
Wait, I thought of another favorite moment.
Oh, go on then. Everybody back to sleep.
No, just one more. It's just one more. Another favorite moment I liked is when he was going down to meet Lex for the first time, and Lex was doing all that crazy stuff like the machine guns, the fire, and the ice and everything. I thought that was pretty cool. Okay, now you can talk, Alex.
So, yeah, I mean, I've met.
Oh, sorry, is he finished? Oh,
yeah.
Sorry, go on, Alex.
I've met a lot of people. This is a different point of view that didn't like Otis, Ned Beatty's portrayal. That's the other reason why I'm sure a lot of them want him cut out of both Superman 1 and 2. I don't mind it. As a couple other videos pointed out, I won't mention their names right now, that they did not like the visuals or the pictures, if you notice, that were in the background, depending on what scene you're at, the Daily Planet or the Cheerios box. It's in a lot of versions at the Kent house. You can see the box of Cheerios on the table through the window, and they didn't like that.
Oh yeah, I like the comic book thing. Yeah.
Yeah, or the comic book narration
yeah,
at the
I like
beginning.
that. I like
Yeah,
the comic
exactly.
book. Yeah.
But yeah, except for like some of the visuals in terms of when they're not flying and stuff. Of course, there's the spoiler about you can't interfere in human history, but yet Superman goes back in time, and there's the loop-de-loop around the Earth.
Okay.
That's based on. Isn't that based on something?
With that, I'd like to say that loop de loop. I mean, oh my gosh, these guys are crazy. They have a guy who doesn't train to be fast, but he suddenly, goes from being unable to catch the missiles. He can't fly that fast, but he can freaking roll the Earth around with his speed. I mean, that's jacked up. I mean, I wish they would have figured out what his superpower really looks like and not to screw that up. I mean, oh my God. I mean, he wasn't even fast enough to catch Lois going into the ground, and that was a slow fall and slow submerging. I mean, oh my God. This is just, it doesn't make any sense, and I'm killing
Lee later, Alex.
Lee
Quick.
is absolutely dying up there.
Well, the thing is,
You're going red, Susan. Flipping heck. You all right? Take a breath.
I'm just saying.
Breathe.
I'm just saying. The speed force. I mean, this could be Flash we're talking about, but it isn't. It's actually Superman, and Superman is better than Flash. And what the hell? I mean, that doesn't make any sense.
Can I ask a question to the most cleverest member of this group?
Go on then, Brian.
Member of this group, Brian. You know when he goes round the Earth?
yes.
To rewind time, isn't that based on some sort of actual theory, a real theory scientists have? Wasn't it debated that if you go around really fast around the Earth, you could speed time up or slow time down or something like that?
Okay, what about it?
Yeah, but I'm asking, is it correct, Brian? Because you're very knowledgeable on these things, as we know.
It's a paradox.
Yeah.
I guess it's true.
Well,
There you go. It's true. There we go. Definitive answer.
well, of course, thankfully, we're not going into Superman 3 or Superman 4 yet, so.
Yeah.
I'm only asking Brian because we're going to get Brian to try
Very
it.
corny.
Superman
We're going
3
to get Brian to try it.
Superman 3 and
Put
4
him
were
up into
so
space.
stupid. They sucked bad.
Okay.
Well-
let me just throw this out there.
No, we don't want any throwing. No littering. Thank you very much.
This,
Like Man of Steel. Man of Steel sucked too.
this
We do not
speeding
condone
the
littering.
Earth around one way and then the other way, it isn't actually affecting the time flow of the Earth. It's just making the sun do this and this and this, which is confusing the sun. And
So really, Susan, it's a lie. It's all
but the point is that the person that it's traveling back in time is Superman himself. But if he's able to do that, he should be able to do the other thing and not
Right.
catch
Can I
the
just-
thing before anyway.
Yeah, but can I just point out then, if
Lee,
he
you've
turned,
got to
if he,
watch out with that finger, Lee.
Look at that.
well, if he turned back time, everything went
Turn
backwards.
back time.
Yeah, everything went backwards.
Yeah, boy.
Right. If everything went backwards, so then missiles would still be up there,
Uh-huh.
and he
Yes,
didn't go
it
back
would.
and finish the missiles.
Uh-huh. There was
Does that mean
there was
the-
some issues.
will the
Yeah,
German be there
yeah.
from Superman 4?
Outfit. And stand on a navy ship.
Who was the baddie in Superman 4?
If I could find you.
Go on.
Why are you talking about Superman
Who's the
4?
baddie in Superman 4?
Whoa, right, calm down, everybody.
Is it Nuclear Man?
Brian, yeah, Nuclear Man was Superman 4.
Superman 4 sucked.
Yeah, okay,
No,
Brian.
it didn't
We're not talking
really,
about Superman
not
4.
really, but it's just it's another one of those good Superman movies.
Is that where he goes to the moon? Is that where he goes to the moon?
Yeah,
He goes to Uranus.
What did you say?
he goes to the moon to fight Nuclear Man.
I wasn't
I said
born then.
the-
I'm very
the
sorry to
Gol-
tell you, Craig.
Golden Globus production team that came out with the breaking.
Anyway, are we going to score this or what? Because we've got another one to do.
All right, all right.
One day we will.
Bad. It's so bad.
Yeah,
What's
okay.
that? This film.
No, Superman Quest for Peace, the fourth one.
Right, let's
There's
try and find peace now.
There's a letter in the Green Lantern Superman, the Reign of Superman magazine from 1993, and it's a letter from Matt Snizek of Amherst, I think it's Ohio, and he said, I think you should kill off Green Lantern because Superman comics sold faster that way and became popular. Plus, it would be exciting if he died and didn't come back, but he's ghosted. Just throwing that out
Then
there.
it wouldn't be Superman then, would it?
The ghost of Superman.
Yeah.
So is that what's going to happen after Superman versus Batman?
What?
Is that what you're
Oh,
doing?
yeah.
Is that why you're throwing that out there, Craig?
Oh, spoilers, spoilers. Craig, you've just ruined it for thousands of people who watch this cast
What?
now.
No. And look,
But
you
the
like
one-
this, Alid?
the one-
What's
sorry,
this?
I made a mistake in my calculation. The sole person that watched this cast, you've spoiled it for.
Is that a
Oh, it's an SNES. Have you got one?
Yeah.
You haven't got one. You haven't got a mini, an SNES mini.
This is an advert from '93 for the Sega Genesis.
I thought you had the. Oh. Wow. Anyway, random.
yeah.
Oh, but
Sorry.
talking about video games, the Superman video game is notoriously bad, isn't it? The 64 one. Is that based on this movie? Do you know or not?
Yeah.
Well, I don't think in this movie Superman flew through rings in the sky.
No, but you have to have that as an element in the game.
Uh,
I mean, come
What's
on.
that? What's
The
that?
question-
What's
question
that
is-
Nintendo game where you can go on a jet ski through the rings?
Oh, you
Very
mean
random.
Sonic
Oh, I used to love that.
Wave
Yeah.
Race?
Yeah.
Wave Race.
wavelength.
I mean, that 60. That's. And
Oh, can we save this for a gaming cast?
But what
Let's
about
rate
poor
this thing.
Supergirl?
Let's give it a rating.
hold on. That's.
Hey, well, calm down, calm down. There's beginning to have a rebellion here. There's a mutiny. It's a mutiny. Right. Calm down.
That N64 game wasn't bad. I actually liked it.
Well, that says a lot.
Yeah, that says a lot. Brian. That does say a lot. You like Grumpy Cat and Hannah Montana.
I've got a bit,
No. Not Hannah.
one.
Oh,
I've got
we're going into a different.
I've got one.
We're wrapping
I've
up.
got one
Lindsay
bit of trivia.
Lohan.
No,
I've got
put it
one.
away and wrap it up.
Lindsay
I've got-
Lohan.
I've got one bit of trivia about this
Go on,
movie.
then.
No, you don't.
It was written by Mario Puzo,
Right. I know the guy who did Godfather.
who wrote The
Oh,
Godfather. Yeah?
Luigi's brother.
There you go. There we go.
So it was a made movie.
Hmm.
Yep. And on that note, Susan, what's your final score and rating? What
Final
did you
say
call it?
is I
Final
like
say
Superman,
is-
but I prefer the Marvel universe. I always do. I'm a Spike or a Stanley gal thing. Anyway, let's see. I'll give it an 8 out of 10 because it was fun to watch, and I didn't get too grumpy. So
Oh,
not
well,
even
that's
as
good.
grumpy as a cat. Here.
Grumpy Cat.
Yeah, I mean, this has always been one of my favorite movies, and Superman 2. And, you know, it was filmed and written at a different time. So what they were doing was groundbreaking at the time for all its weird visuals, but that's cool. I like it better than the new movies. So as far as visually and acting, I'd give it a 9. As far as the writing, probably give it a 8. But as I said, there's a lot of dry humor in it as well. And the second movie isn't even as dry in the humor.
And let's go over to Brian. Brian, what's your final say and score on this film? On the first movie?
That's me.
That is definitely you. We've established that quite a few times by calling you Brian in the cast.
Well, I would probably rate this film considering that I love that. So considering I really love this film, and Christopher Reeve is the best Superman of all time, and not that stupid Man of Steel garbage, I would probably rate this film a 10 out of 10, my dear.
A 4 out of 10. A 4 out of 10. And let's go to London with Craig. We're not going by Ryanair though.
Yeah, Christopher Reeve is the best Superman. I'm going to give here it a same as Susan, 8 out of 8 TARDISes. What's that?
8 capes. Let's call it capes.
8 TARDISes. Yeah.
No, 8 capes.
8 TARDISes.
Craig, listen, Mr. Johnson, 8 capes.
8 TARDISes.
No, sorting out.
He's been a rebel.
He is being a rebel. Sorting out. You're from Hull. It's right with you.
I need a wee.
I can tell.
Hold it in, boy. Right, is it me now?
Yeah, it's you now. Yeah. Do you need a wee?
How do I follow that? No, I've just done it in there.
Oh my God! It's sat in your commode.
The Commodore 64.
Anyways,
It's a 64.
my only niggle is this movie is way too long.
I've never heard you complain about the length before.
And I do prefer Superman 2, so for that reason, I'm going to give it 7.5 red underpants out of 10.
Oh, that's good. At least it's not TARDISes or sonic screwdrivers. Well, it could be sonic screwdrivers in red underpants.
No comment.
And as Susan's pointing out there, if Susan wants to speak, because she reminded us about that.
That's
no, she
enough.
doesn't. Okay, then.
Anyway, what's my final say on this film? It's not my type of film. Superheroes are not my type of film, but I can see why people like it and why people like Superman, and that's fine. I mean, the effects are good. The story is too long. I mean, it does drag. It does drag, and especially
It's too long.
It is. This is my final say and score now, Brian. You've had your turn.
Okay.
It is too long. Personally, for me, it's too long. Even Lee said it was too long. You know, and Lee usually likes long ones, but for me, I don't. Personally, you know, Lee likes Lord of the Rings and stuff like that. I don't like films that just drag, that I feel drag. And for me, this film dragged. But I am going to give it a 6. I am going to give it a 6 because I understand why people enjoy it. And the effects are good. And I thought the opening was probably the best part of the film. I thought the opening was good. And that was probably the best part for me. Maybe because I fell asleep for the rest of it. But that's not the point. Anyway, I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. I'd like to thank everybody here for joining me. Even Craig. Yes, even Craig and Lee. Even though they can be rebels at times. And I'd like to thank you for watching. Don't forget to tell us below what you thought of the film, what you think of Superman as a whole. Are you a fan of Superman? Don't you like Superman? Do you prefer Batman? Are you with Lee? Do you like Batman better? Go on, fight out below. Look after yourself. Take care. Hit that subscribe button for more crazy videos like this, because there's loads up on the channel. Go and visit Susan's channel, TARDIS. What was your thing called, Susan? That thing you do, the radio show? TARDIS Blue.
It's TARDIS Blue Radio, and I'm occasionally posting links in the Geeks Assembled Facebook group for a radio show. It isn't a 24-hour a day radio show, but it's a random radio show, and we enjoy it. Thanks.
Yeah,
and that's our favourite word as well, random.
Alex has got Facebook groups, haven't you, Alex, that people can join and stuff like that. Yeah. Yeah. Alex is terrified that people are now gonna, that people watching this are going to Google them. Anyway, I would say go and check out Craig's channel, but I'm a bit worried to say that to see what you'll find. So I'm, you know, if you're over 18, go and check out Craig's channel. And I'd like
Craig's
to say,
World.
so that's it. Look after yourself. Take care. See you next time.